Welcome back to another episode of We Love Pets. Thanks for joining us again here in the studio. We have a special guest with us, Patrick Mahaney. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
If you guys want to join the conversation with us, please feel free to use the hashtag We Love Pets. You can reach out to us at Pet World Insider on all social media platforms, or you can reach out to me at Producer Derek. We'll be more than happy to get those comments and questions out to our future guests. So, Patrick, what we do on the show, we get started by kind of checking your credentials as a pet person. Why you love pets, why you're in the field. We kind of want to know first, what was your first pet? How did this kind of all get started? Where did that start from?
I think the influence for me to be interested in pets came from my older brother. I have a brother, Mike, who's 7 years older than me. He lives in New Jersey, and he had a variety of pets growing up, and so I just kind of tagged along with what he was doing. We had fish, we had hamsters, we had gecko lizards, like chameleons. And we'd do these long cross-country family trips from Indiana to Mexico, Indiana to Colorado. That's why I don't drive over 6 hours now as an adult. I'm like, I've been scarred as a child, all those log distance, sleeping in a station wagon sometimes. Anyway, so we'd bring back lizards from warm places, and of course they wouldn't last that long in Indiana or New Jersey. But so my brother really exposed me to those kind of pets as a child, and then we got a family dog who was a terrible little toy poodle named Rascal. Like, we were probably the perfect model for not training your dog properly. The dog was mean.
So the name Rascal totally fit the dog.
Yeah, exactly. We had good intentions. It just didn't turn out. We didn't really know as a family how to be a responsible caretaker from the training perspective. So I feel now I really try to get into my client's head, like, we have to be training all the time, right from the get-go, and constantly training, always reinforcing good behaviors and using appropriate discipline. So Rascal was a terrible little dog, and I didn't actually then have another dog until when I was in vet school, where I got my first dog, who was really my dog, a yellow Labrador named Rowan. And Rowan was another person's dog who couldn't care for him, so I took on his care and had him for about 6 years or so, and then he went to a friend's family's home in Colorado, first in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and then to Colorado, and he actually ended up passing away after being a long-term ski shop dog. So he hung out in the ski shop with the people, with my friend's brother in Colorado. So, and then I got Cardiff, who was really my dog, when I lived in Washington State, and Cardiff and I moved from Washington to Los Angeles together in 2006. And so Cardiff was my dog, and then my husband's Phil's dog, our dog, collectively for 10 years until he passed away a month ago yesterday.
Yeah, sorry to have
Thank
that
you.
happen. I know we've all had that loss, and it's always a tough thing to go with. I know viewers out there always have that loss, and it's always tough. But we all continue on. We all are doing, and I think one of the things that you can look forward to is that you're not alone with dogs. You get to be with the
all
dogs
the time.
all the
Yes,
time. So let's talk a little bit about the practice and what makes you Dr. Patrick Mahaney, because you do have some unique stuff that you run at your practice. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, I've been practicing veterinary now for 16-ish years, 1999 graduate from the U of P, and I've done a variety.
That's University
of Pennsylvania. That's not Penn State. There are actually some sweatshirts that say not Penn State with the Penn logo on it. I don't care. I don't have that hardcore feeling. But I've been working for 16 years as a veterinarian. I've done a variety of practice from my internship in Washington, D.C., which exposed me to a variety of different options: internal medicine, oncology, surgery, emergency practice, and then I went into just general practice for a large corporate practice, and I quickly realized that wasn't really my cup of tea, so I then transitioned into emergency only, which was really, really interesting. I learned so much, and it's like you suddenly have to apply all that stuff that you learned once and be able to just jump in and apply it effectively. And I really enjoyed that kind of practice, but the unusual hours, working overnight, sometimes not sleeping all night or sleeping for an hour a night, just kind of wore on me for a bit. So I craved normalcy. And at the same time, I've always been a big yoga practitioner and have been a yoga teacher as well. And so in my yoga teacher training, I realized the body can heal itself if you do certain things to it, like taking care of yourself well, eating good foods, having good habits, and just getting your blood flowing better around your body. And so I as a result of my yoga practice, developed some injuries and sought alternative therapies to help, like chiropractic and acupuncture. And I figured I have to learn how to apply this to my patients. So So when I moved from Washington to Seattle, I started taking a veterinary acupuncture training program in San Diego through the International Veterinary Acupuncture Society. So it would go, fortunately, from like gloomy Pacific Northwest to sunny, lovely Southern California to San Diego once a month for 4 months to do my training. And in that whole process, I was like, I just need to move to the whole Los Angeles area. I've always wanted to move to Southern California. I almost moved to San Diego in 2001. I was actually there when 9/11 happened. Like I was working very close to the Pentagon in Virginia, but I was in San Diego at the time that the plane hit the Pentagon.
Wow.
So actually DC became a very awful place to live in at the time. I had to like go to my doctor and get swabbed for anthrax because I used to go to the Friendship Heights post office where people opened envelopes of anthrax and died. I'm like, the world is sending me a message that I need to get out of here. And so I exactly get out now while the real estate market is still good. So I was actually able to like sell a condo and pay off all my student loan debt, which was awesome too. I was like very relieved to not have that burden. So the veterinary acupuncture training was seemingly the right fit for me. And then I started applying the principles of Chinese medicine to all of my patients, puppies, kittens, adults, geriatric dogs and cats as well. And I really learned how to look at disease a little bit deeper. And then I've always wanted to have my own business. Actually, after vet school, the reason I did an internship is because I wanted to be a radiologist. So a vet who just does diagnostic image interpretation, x-rays, ultrasound, CT, MRI. And I didn't get into my residency program, so I needed to have a job and do something else. And I just never ended up applying again because I just got into the group of practice. So I always wanted to have my own business. So fortunately in 2008, my boss at the practice I was working at in West Hollywood, who was a lawyer, helped me to incorporate myself as a business, and California Pet Acupuncture and Wellness was born. And I just decided to start offering services to clients on a house call basis, really just starting out with Chinese medicine, acupuncture, nutritional consultations to try to get pets eating healthy foods. And it really just evolved into a integrative practice for offering a variety of services for sick pets and well pets. So blood, urine, fecal testing, dispensation of medications and supplements, sometimes transporting my patients to a specialist because the client is too busy or just too apathetic, or even doing in-home care for certain patients as well, like luxury babysitting. I've even done house, dog, and cat sitting for certain clients too who have to go away to do projects. So we'll step in.
You're not the standard vet. You're not when we take a dog to a vet, for the most part, we are not getting all those extra things. And I think that's what's really great about what you're doing, because you are offering so much more to make that pet's life better. So I don't want to let the opportunity go by, because it is, as you just pointed out, it's very unique what you're doing. And I think there's going to be some folks out there who are even just going, wait a second, there's acupuncture and laser treatments for pets. Talk about that a little bit, because that's something I'm a huge believer. It's something that I do for myself. And then, I did that for Sugar and Zoe, and I saw a huge difference. And, I know obviously you see a difference. Otherwise you wouldn't have devoted yourself to those types of things. But maybe, what's the reaction, and when should you be thinking about those things for your pets?
Well, things like acupuncture could be really applied to any pet at any point in their life. The typical pet owner decides to pursue it for their pet if the pet has been diagnosed with some condition, and the vet might say, oh, your pet could benefit from acupuncture, or they've had acupuncture themselves and they feel like they've experienced the improvements. I pursued it for chronic pain issues, and so I primarily apply that to my patients for that purpose, to relieve some of their pain. And it's all part of a system called multimodal pain management. We're trying to reduce the reliance on medications that potentially have mild to life-threatening side effects. So you want to still use your medications, but try to minimize the dose, maybe a smaller dose or less frequent dose. And that comes into play with acupuncture, laser treatment, massage, supplements, herbs, physical rehabilitation, modifying the home environment so it's pet safer. So like the large Great Dane who's struggling to walk because he's arthritic isn't like slipping and sliding on floors and falling down stairs and things like that. So it's really about thinking about how you would treat like an elderly person to make the home safer for them, and applying a similar similar principle to your pets. So I love the fact that I'm able to like explore this field and constantly learn doing it too. And then laser treatment, for example, relatively new thing for pets and also for people. And so I was introduced to it at a trade show. It put the laser on myself, and right away I was like, wow, I felt how it could benefit me. And I actually use the same laser I use on my patients on myself all the time. So I definitely feel the benefits. Like I kind of like make myself a guinea pig for all of what I do for my patients too. I want to know. I want to know.
Like I always say, Sugar and Zoe were never guinea pigs. I would try it myself.
Yes.
Yeah, all the cooking stuff we do on their cooking.
Right.
So we're usually eating it.
That's great.
Yeah,
so it's funny, but and I think that's another wonderful thing about what you're doing. And it's something that we love here at Pet World Insider is we continue to see things that in the human world do translate over and provide a similar relief path for our pets.
Right.
And I love that. I love that.
I want to go into a little bit because you've gone for 16 years now. You said you've been doing this, which is a long time. There's got to be one or two crazy stories out there of some of the animals you've come in contact with, and if there's something out there that you can share with us.
Well, I mean, maybe not like I really just work in the realm of cats and dogs, really not unusual animals. But having done veterinary emergency practice for many years, I've seen all sorts of crazy stuff. And after moving to West Hollywood, where in Southern California there's a large number of marijuana dispensaries, I would actually sometimes treat like upwards of 5 or 6, in quotes, marijuana toxicity cases in a day. And a lot of pets are affected by cannabis a variety of ways. There are health benefits to it, but also if the cannabis contains THC, it creates euphoria. They can sometimes vocalize. They have something called static ataxia, where they stand and kind of hover and don't really feel like they're steady on their feet. And so it's good that the owner brings the pet in for evaluation, because sometimes they didn't just consume cannabis. Maybe they consumed other things too. So doing some baseline blood testing to see if there's any evidence of kidney, liver, other changes that'd be concerning, putting them on supportive care like IV fluids, giving them activated charcoal to help to bind to whatever's in their system and help to pass it out. Usually they're totally fine the next day and walking out the door. So I've treated a lot of those kind of, and also like other crazy toxicities too, like ecstasy, methamphetamine, cocaine, and no dose.
Laugh, but it's oh my god.
No dose, macadamia nut, chocolate covered macadamia nuts, which actually like stimulates the dog and causes problems with how they can use their hind limbs. But then from just a practice perspective, I've been kind of fortunate to move into this realm of working really as a concierge veterinarian and having a great referral system. So a very well-known actress client of mine referred me to her friends who are Russian multi-billionaires and travel around the world on one of 2 extremely large boats. One which is so big it can't even fit into the Marina del Rey. Wow. And so I've had to provide a house call for them on the boat before, and I'd have to go to Marina del Rey, and then this very luxurious Tinder, like a small boat, would come and pick me up and take me out, and then be like putting white towels down on tables for the dog, who's a little Maltese, who's got glaucoma and some other things that I help to manage. I'm more of just like the general practice, working on the integrative approach with supplements for them. So I see them every now and then. They come to LA, they stay at the Beverly Hills Hotel. I've flown home from vacation to see their dog before and then flown back. They pay for me to go and pay for my time, but I'm like, never else would I have the opportunity to do this. Yeah, that dog has a great life. Yes. Actually, that dog acutely developed glaucoma in New Zealand, and myself and another vet who's in New York that practices like myself went on this nationwide search to try to find a U.S.-trained, board-certified veterinary ophthalmologist to travel with the family from New Zealand to Turks and Caicos for like a 2-week period to continually do eye pressure checks and make sure the dog gets all its medications. And fortunately, the family found a Russian vet to go. But it's like there's no.
I was just saying that though.
They love their dog, and there's not a
lot.
price option. It's
no
like get it done. That's
awesome. I mean, I know we can't all relate to that kind of, but to see that, and it's usually you get weird stories where the dog's just an accessory or something, but that kind of stuff to show that there's that love, that passion, and crosses borders.
Yes.
Yeah, but
international.
And we've been fortunate to work with celebrities, and I photograph them with their dogs and all that. And I want to know if you've experienced the same thing I have. They may have this huge entourage for themselves, but the thing that has always stood out to me is when their dog or cat or whatever pet needs something, they're the ones that stop and actually take care of them more often than not. And I love that, because I think there's a bad stereotype out there, especially when it comes to celebrities, that, oh, it is just an accessory. You know, that may be the case for a couple of folks, but generally that's not what I find. I actually find that's when they're most down to earth and most caring.
Yeah, pets are like the great equalizer. Everybody can talk about their pet if they have a pet, and it's really just a common ground. I'm amazed when I work with well-known people. Like, I'm just there as a service provider. We talk about their pets. We get to know each other, and that's what part of what I really like about my practice is creating a long-term relationship with the client, and then also having a very open communication stream about what's going on with the pet. Like clients are constantly texting me, emailing me, just like there's a problem or we're working through the problem and we have to figure out, do I need to go to the house or do they need to go to a practice to get x-rays and IV fluids or things like that. So there's constant communication, and that's where I think really medicine works best, is when the healthcare provider really is very attuned to what's going on with the patient. It's not just like 15 minutes in an exam room on a once a year basis. I do hour and a half to 2 hour initial consultations. I give my clients a post consultation email summary, which is like a long, like a very explanatory report card, and that creates a stream of communication where they can email me anytime, and I can respond at midnight or 2 a.m. or whatever.
Yeah, and that's the one thing people don't realize when it comes to the pet world. There's options out there that do so much more than just what your standard vet would do, and so that's why we love having you here on a lot of the things we're doing. And so when you guys are paying attention watching this, we have already probably put out our first episode of Natural Pets TV season 2, which Patrick will be a part of, so stay tuned for that and see some of the episodes he's coming out with on that. But what I do want to get to, this is the part of the show where we get user submitted questions. It's our dog bowl questions. If you guys want to submit questions to the dog bowl, please reach out to us, leave comments down below, or use the hashtag #WeLovePets on all social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, any of those. You can reach out to Rob and the rest of the team at Pet World Insider. You can reach out to me at Producer Derek. We'll get those questions in there for our future guests. But this is your chance to pick one of those questions, and we're going to see...
Just one?
Just one.
Okay. Oh, am I reading the question out loud?
You're reading the question out loud.
All right.
And we all going to see how we're going to answer
this. This is a really interesting question. How many pets is too many pets for someone? Well,
I think we're all going to have different opinions.
Yeah, I think everybody has different opinions. Really, I think how many pets is too many. It depends on your ability to care for them and to be an effective pet parent, to provide medical care, to provide day-to-day things, feeding, walking, and such. Of course, there are legal restrictions to certain places that you should abide by. We don't want to be like the crazy cat lady with 10 cats in the house that the whole house stinks like cat urine. So I think it's really an individual choice. I mean, I personally am more of a 1 or 2 dog kind of guy. I used to have 2 cats as well when I lived in Washington, D.C., and that was great. Don't currently have cats, but I will again in the future when I have the space for them. So I think having a realistic idea of how much I can handle to still be a very responsible pet caretaker is going to determine how many pets is appropriate for you.
I definitely agree that it's to determine what you can take care of. I think I'm in that same ballpark. I'm like 2 dogs would probably be more than enough for me. Mm-hmm. Maybe a small animal, maybe a reptile, a tortoise of some kind, because I really am a fan of tortoises. I love hamsters, but I don't know if the hamsters with the dog. I'm probably 2 dogs and a tortoise, and I'm good.
Uh-huh.
And I think we're fine there. I would love a pig, but I think there's conflict there too. And so Rob, your answer.
You know, I am going to disagree with both of you. I think you should have as many pets as you can love, but also care for. Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, it's difficult for me. Yeah, responsibly. Right. But also, and I'm in this situation right now.
We don't need to rescue you as
well, that's
rescue.
true.
Yeah. So rescue should not be rescued.
But I will say this, that you know, so I have had at different times a lot of fish, jellyfish, desert tortoises, 2 dogs, you know, lizards, snake. You know, I really do agree. It becomes 2 things for me. What can you properly care for and know about? Because caring isn't just, okay, can I feed them and take them out? Yeah. Mm-hmm. It is, what things do they need to thrive, not just survive? So that's the first thing. And then the second part of it, for me, is also, do they all get along and can they all coexist? Because I know right now, you know, Sugar passed away. we talk about let's, bring another member into the family, but we have, brought other dogs in to see how Zoe will react. Mm-hmm. And Zoe's made it pretty clear to us. She doesn't want anybody else. She's not aggressive towards them, but she goes and hides and is not a part of the family at that point. And that's not what we want. So I would just say, make sure as well that everybody gets together. Zoe loves being in with the tortoises, and, she'll look up and, put her nose on, and they'll walk over, and I just see that big tail wag. So everything's all good, and it's a very positive environment.
That's a really good point.
I think that's, for me, how I would answer the question. And just look at your lifestyle too.
I would love a farm, but a farm here in Southern California is like next to impossible to actually find or afford.
I was thinking you can find them, but you ain't affording them. No, I agree. But I think you all make good points there. It is. We all have that tendency too, because we, especially being in the industry, we see so many wonderful animals that would be great members of the family that you can easily go down that slippery slope of, well, I'm the exception to the rule. And, you just create not only problems for that one that you're saving, but the ones that you've already saved.
There are more times than I'd want to think about where somebody has good intentions and they foster and then maybe rescue an animal from a shelter situation. The pet has mild to significant health problems. The person isn't necessarily a charity in themselves. They don't have a foundation set up to pay for things. And people can incur thousands and thousands of dollars of vet care bills that otherwise could be put into their child's education, paying their mortgage, paying their own health care. So I think that people sometimes need to think about what are the implications of taking on certain pets. And making sure that
it's not just I have a dog and that's it. There's so many other things that go into being that pet parent and making sure that life of that dog, that cat, even the tortoise or the fish are the best that it can possibly be that you can afford to do, because you get into those crazy situations, and we shouldn't be rescuing a rescue in that situation. Like, you should not have to go into
and I know you've seen this. Some of the most tragic things we see in the pet world are rescues that overextended their ability.
Oh yes.
And then all of a sudden, instead of it being one or two that we're trying to help, now we've got to swoop in and help 78 or 81 how did that happen? It happened with many times the best of intentions.
Right.
They just couldn't do it.
Sure.
So, no, that's great.
Awesome. I think that was a great answer from all of us.
Good job, everybody. Good job.
Guys, if you want to leave a question, just leave it in the comments or use the hashtag #WeLovePets. But before we let you go, Patrick, I want to make sure you get a little bit of time to express that one message, whatever you want to make sure that
if you could wave that magic Mahaney wand and say, this is what I want you all to know, what would it be?
Well, I probably won't go the conventional route of saying that your cat or dog needs to go to the vet every 6 or 12 months, but I think that...
But he did.
I just did. I just want to do that little plug too. So really think about preventing otherwise preventable diseases, because those diseases can have serious and irreversible consequences that could end your pet's life. And the number 1 and 2 things I'm talking about are obesity and periodontal disease. Unfortunately, the majority of cats and dogs in this country are overweight or obese, over 50%. And being obese has so many negative effects on all body systems: the heart, the lungs, the endocrine system, the joints, the back, everything is skin, everything is affected. So always keep your pet slim on a lifelong basis. There's studies that show that dogs that eat just 20 to 25% less calories are so much healthier and have fewer obesity-related health issues than dogs that are overweight or obese. And also, from a very early age, start brushing your pet's teeth. Work with your veterinarian to figure out what's the appropriate dental plan for your pet. It might include going under anesthesia to resolve issues, but then you can do an effective job as a pet owner to prevent your pet from having to go under anesthesia again if you just dedicate yourself to some kind of daily home dental care. Those are my top 2 things.
Love it.
Awesome. Patrick, if they want to get a hold of you and your practice and learn more about you, what's the best way they can find you?
Best way is to visit my website, patrickmahaney.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Patrick, for being on the show with us. Guys, if you guys want to join the conversation, you guys know the routine already. Reach out to us using the hashtag #WeLovePets. You can reach out to the team here at Pet World Insider or myself at Producer Derek. Leave comments down below, share the video, like it, and again, join us for another episode of We Love Pets. Thanks very much, guys.